So welcome to this episode of History Hunters. I am at Gelson's Market here on Hyperion Boulevard in Los Angeles, California. And this is the actual site where Walt Disney Studios originated, on Hyperion Boulevard. It operated here from 1926 to 1940. Walt Disney picked this spot because it was pretty close to where he had his original studio, which was in a commercial structure, and we're going to go over and check it out as well. On July 6, 1926, Walt and Roy Disney put down a $400 deposit on the large lot at 2719 Hyperion Avenue to build a new animation studio. Their neighbors at the time were a gas station and an organ factory. Originally, things started out small because the new studio included 2 small offices for Walt and Roy, a camera room, and a large partitioned work area for the animators and ink and paint staff. A number of expansions between 1929 and 1940 included the animation buildings, a sound stage, and an ink and paint building. The large building on the right with no windows was the sound stage. It's believed that Walt's office was the one with the double doors and balcony just under the studio sign. About 1,500 employees worked here at one time, but you couldn't tell it by looking at this parking lot. An added feature, which was pretty cool, was the large Walt Disney Studio sign with Mickey Mouse. It must have been exciting for the kids at night to see Mickey all lit up with neon. As an interesting side note, some of those early photos of the studio showed a large brick castle-like structure in the background, which was and is John Marshall High School, which still exists today. Mickey Mouse was developed at this studio, and some of his classics, including Steamboat Willie, Donald Duck, Goofy, Pluto, and Minnie Mouse, were all developed here on this lot, where the parking lot is today. 1937 brought this studio some great success when they developed Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It was their first full-length feature. The company needed more space as a result of the success, and to increase production, they moved to Burbank Studios of today, starting the move in 1939 and ending it on January 5th, 1940. Sadly, the buildings were raised in the early 1960s to make way for another use, hence this new shopping center. When Walt Disney was here, right on this corner, right about where these cars and where this sign is, was once a gas station, Shell gas station. And it's said that Walt Disney used to take his staff across the street to the vacant lot over there and play baseball to help them unwind from the stress of being animators, and it was such tedious work. Such a historical spot here. Had such historical significance to the Disney story. Of course, Walt Disney came out here from Kansas City, Missouri to make it big in show business. Had a real difficult time here with his brother Roy, often being the money man. He put a $400 down payment on this property right here so he could begin building the studio. Kind of hard to see up there, but it says point of historical interest, site of Walt Disney's original animation studio in Los Angeles, 2719 Hyperion Avenue, 1926 to 1940. It's really hard to believe that right here was where the first Walt Disney Studios was located. Now a shopping center. Gelson's Shopping Center. Gelson's Market. So what we're going to do is take you around to another corner of this block where there's what's called Snow White's Cottages.
We're down the street from Walt Disney's animation studios. Behind me are cottages that his animators stayed in, and their design was inspiration for Snow White.
I'm gonna check this out right here. They're historical buildings, designated as a historical spot here. As you can see here, private property, no trespassing. go around back here, show you what they look like. Very unique Swiss design. And back up to an alleyway. So you probably thought that the little cottages from Snow White were just all in the imagination of the animators, the Imagineers, but they were inspired by these structures here. I think that's pretty cool. And the fact that they're still standing, unlike the studio that's been bulldozed, these buildings are still here for you to come by and see, here on Griffith Park Boulevard. Look at that rustic little gate there, isn't that cool? Look at these shingles that come out of this chimney. Little fake brick there. These cottages go way back to the 1920s, 1930s. We're on the corner of St. George Street and Lyric Avenue. Walt Disney's first house with his wife. It said that Walt Disney bought these two lots for his brother and himself. Bought a kit home or prefab house for about $7,100. And it said that in this garage right here is where Walt Disney came up with the idea and worked with Ub Iwerks on Mickey Mouse and 2495 Lyric. It's a cute little house. Right next door here is the house that Roy Disney occupied. Pretty cool. These brothers were very tight, and this was within walking distance of the studio, which was just less than a mile away, or a mile or two away. Following the success of Oswald the Rabbit in 1926, Walt and Roy bought an empty lot here on Lyric Avenue and built matching homes next door to each other. Soon after, in 1927, Walt and Lillian moved from their apartment on Commonwealth Avenue to this home. While it's very true that you can say that Mickey Mouse was an invention in the brain of Walt Disney, you can also say that the workspace that created him is right there in that garage behind me. Very old neighborhood of Los Angeles here. Right around the corner is John Marshall High School. Can you imagine having the distinction of being Walt Disney's neighbor? Now, I don't know if I told you, but in another video, I was a young child and we had met Walt Disney in Disneyland. My mother posed with Walt Disney in a picture with him, so that was a very special moment. When we saw him in 1966, he did not live here in this house, though. So how did you feel about Mickey Mouse? Did you like to watch any of the cartoons?
I think I like the old Mickey, the black and white Steamboat Mickey. I liked the Fantasia, the music put to it, but other than that, I don't know. I don't think that I've seen a whole lot of Mickey stuff, just Disney movies.
So ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to report that the first Disney Brothers studio is right behind me. It's still standing. It was established here in February of 1926, and the Disney Brothers were here for 2 years, at least 2 years, before they got to move to a different location. The building is still here. So in February 1924, Walt Disney rented this place for $35 a month, plus $7 for the use of the garage that was converted to an office. It was back here. It's been said that Walt Disney wanted this building because he lived down the street here in this boarding house. This is the backside of the Disney Brothers studio, the very first studio here in the 1920s. I really find it amazing that this building is still standing after all these years. You think about the Disneys being here in the early 20s. Here it is like 100 years later and the building's still here. Lillian Bounce came out here from Idaho and she was looking for work, and she found out that there was an inking position with the Disney Brothers studio. She decided to apply. It's right in here in this building off to the right that she applied for a job with Walt, and she gained her fame and fortune by later marrying Walt Disney. So it was a pretty smart move on her part, just to think that the Disney marriage started right here when they met at this building. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and check inside and see what they have. This is now a print and fax and mail service. Oh, this is cool. The whole wall is posted full of, looks like, remembrances of what was here at the Disney studio. Photos and articles relating to Disney's time here almost a century ago. So this photo here shows Walt in the back seat of that car with the other animators outside, although I think this may have been taken in Kansas City because I see the word Laugh-O-Grams. There's Oswald the Rabbit up there. It came before Mickey Mouse. There's Donald Duck, Pluto, Goofy. At least they recognize that this building is very historical as it relates to the Disney enterprise. Lots of articles and photos on this wall. This must be owners of the business, I'm guessing. Very cool shop here. Glad they let me come in here. Well, Disney was able to walk down this alleyway here to his house. He lived a block away in this boarding house when he first got married. This gray structure here at 4637 Melbourne was where Walt and Lillian Disney first moved to when they were married back in 1925. After she applied for a job in the commercial building that we just saw, Walt was kind enough to give his female employees rides home so they would be safe and secure on the way home. And he always made sure that Lillian was the last one that he dropped off. And one day he said, I'm thinking about buying a new suit. And if it would be okay with you, once I buy that new suit, can I take you out to dinner? And she said yes. It's not a very attractive building. Can you imagine Walt Disney going up this building here to his house? So on July 13th, 1925, they were married up in Idaho, and they came back to live in this building right here. Lillian did not like living here. She didn't like looking down at this parking lot. We're not sure which apartment they had, but they weren't here for very long. They actually got into a house over there on Lyric. It was their first house together, but this is the first place that they lived together. It was an apartment building. It's been said that this was the first building that the Disneys rented. After they started growing a little bit, they rented this facility right over here next door. It looks like an art gallery right now. There's all kinds of graffiti and art on this sidewalk, but unfortunately, there's a little Mickey Mouse there. He's mad. Very cool to think that the Disneys post for pictures out here. I think Walt Disney used to walk on these sidewalks right here. He lived right around the corner. Sure, he would take walks around the house where he first moved to. We're actually at the corner of Commonwealth and Kingswell in Los Angeles. It's where Walt Disney lived when he first came out here. Right behind this green screen here is the house that Robert Disney owned. It was Walt Disney's uncle. Walt Disney moved out here from the Midwest in 1923. He had no place to go, so he stayed here with his uncle till he couldn't stand it. He actually paid $5 a week for rent, and he had to make that up by being a successful cartoonist. To think that Walt Disney walked on these steps right here at 4406 Kingswell. I'll place my camera over the fence to show you the house. It's a very simple house in this older area of Los Angeles. The garage that Walt first used as a crude cartoon studio was located back there. It's been since moved to the Garden Grove Stanley Ranch Museum, where it's being preserved. Walt lived a couple of months here until he couldn't stand it. As I said before, his uncle charged him $5 a week and $1 to use the garage in the back. Brother Roy got married here to Edna in this house, and Walt and Lillian posed for the camera out in front here. That wedding inspired Walt to get married, even though he said he wouldn't do so until he was at least 25 years old and had $10,000 in the bank. He didn't wait that long, though. When he got tired of living over here at his Uncle Robert's house, he rented a room over in this house across the street. It's at 4409 Kingswell, and he lived here from the fall of 1923 to July 1925. In this very house here. None of these historic houses have any kind of plaques outside, so it's kind of find it on your own, do your own sleuthing. There's 4406 over there. It looks like it's been saved from the wrecking ball, but it looks like the roof is being kind of tore up a little bit.
The Disney brothers said having their uncle renting out the garage and loaning cash helped them realize their dreams of making cartoons. Uncle Robert Disney died in 1953 and is buried in the Forest Lawn Cemetery. Walt's dad, Elias Disney, was a stern man who felt cartooning wasn't serious work, but he had failed at his own farming and business ventures. After the success of Snow White in 1938, Walt and Roy gave their parents a new home in Hollywood. Unfortunately, Flora Disney died on November 26, 1938, when there was a gas leak inside of her house and she was overcome by the fumes. The loss of his mother plagued Walt Disney with much grief for the rest of his life. Walt felt personally responsible for the furnace not being repaired properly. Elias Disney died in 1941 and was entombed next to his wife. It was a sad ending for the Disneys. Walt was born in Chicago, Illinois, and in 1905 transplanted to Marceline, Missouri, which I got to visit in 2008. It's a town that very much contributed to the appearance of Main Street in Disneyland. I had a chance to visit the farmhouse where the Disney family lived until 1911 and checked out the barn where Walt used to give performances using animals dressed up. It's said that the barn is where Walt Disney learned to become a performer and charging kids to see his shows. I also had a chance to visit the Dreaming Tree, the very tree that Walt Disney used to sit under and dream. That same tree fell in 2015.
I think what should inspire most people about Walt Disney is he never gave up. He believed in the dream. His brother believed in the dream, and they had some incredible hardship financially trying to make it out here. But they persisted, and their raw talent, their quest to push on is what made Walt Disney a worldwide success.